Hello and welcome to another video from the only source of information that you need to not only survive the current apocalypse but actually enjoy it. And today's live stream is going to be about my upcoming trip, cross-country trip to visit with subscribers. I am now going to attempt to see this on another screen, so I can see what people are saying and answer questions and stuff. Oh wow, that actually worked. Okay. Turn my volume off on this thing. Sustenance and covering. Say something. Okay. Hello, everybody. I got 2 thumbs up. Oh, there's 8 people in there. Hey, okay, we'll go ahead and start then. Let me get this straightened out a little bit, maybe. Ala Toledo isn't actually here today. He got called away on important administrative duties for sustenance and covering World Empire. All right, let's see. Hello, everybody. That's me. And Betty L says hello. Okay, Ken says good afternoon. Mountain Truth 1D says howdy, y'all. Okay, so this is the way this is supposed to work, I guess. I really don't understand. Just so everybody out there knows, I'm shooting this video with my iPad because it seemingly does a lot better than my laptop does. Hopefully you're getting a clear signal. It looks clear over here on the computer. But I can't see the comments on my iPad just come in little bitty balloons for just a second, and then they disappear. And so I've got this playing on my laptop so that I can look over and see what people are saying. Sue Miller says hello. So that's another person that's here. Okay, what we're going to talk about today is me taking a trip. So I obviously my truck isn't ready yet. In fact, I don't even have it now. It's in the shop. I went by to pick it up on Friday, and I did not have enough money. Now I've got plenty of. Let me just explain things. I did a video a while back where I asked people to donate towards getting a transmission in my truck, and the transmission was $1,500 is what I was told. So I got a little over $2,000. What's amazing is one subscriber donated $2,000. So I went to pick up my truck, and my $1,500 transmission was $2,300, which I really couldn't understand why they said $1,500 on this truck, because it's a 1-ton truck. So the transmission is ginormous, and I knew there was going to be a lot of other things they had to do in there. But it was $2,300. But since my subscriber had donated $2,000, it wasn't that big of an issue. I just went down and picked it up, and then of course we got another stimulus check of $1,400 and then another one for $1,400. So I took it into a different shop to get the shocks replaced and the cab mounts replaced, which was $1,300. Well, before I even did that, you know, I went down there and I made the arrangements. They said bring the truck on over. On the way over there, it broke down, and I actually had to I couldn't even drive it there. I had to get it towed in. And so they, when I went to pick it up the other day, they said it was the transfer switch, which I said, okay, I kind of figured that's what it was. Even though I've never had experience with that, I kind of knew that my fuel wasn't acting right, and that's the only major component that would do what this thing was doing. But it was $900 for that switch, and then there was the cost of putting it in. And so I didn't have enough money in my bank account to pay pay for that. But Monday I get my next Social Security check, and I'll have way more than enough. So I'm not begging for money right now. I'm just letting you know that I don't have a truck, but I'm gonna go traveling, and so I'll be traveling in my car. And I don't have money for hotel rooms, so if you want me to come by and visit you, you're gonna have to let me stay there for a day or two because I can't afford hotel rooms. So I'm just letting everybody know that I am going to be traveling soon, and when I travel, I'm going to need to stay with the people who want me to stop in and visit. Okay, Jeffrey Donaldson says hi from Michigan, and that's the first thing I want to talk about. Okay, I made a video like 2 weeks ago or so where I talked about taking a trip and asked if anybody wanted me to stay with them, just to let me know. And then I would, once I got everybody in, I would figure out where I was going. But it looked like everybody was just in a perfect row. Like, I live on the Mississippi Gulf Coast, which basically, if you look at the United States, I'm right dead in the center on the very, very bottom. And so one of the first people to offer a place to stay was in Michigan. So here's Mississippi is where I am. Here's Michigan, north. It's right there. And so I knew I was going to stop in and see Carlos and Chris, who are in Ohio, which is about here. And I had a friend that I was going to visit in Illinois, which is not too far off from that. And I got another friend that's in Oklahoma, which is kind of out of the way, but I've also got another friend in St. Louis that I was going to go visit. And he's a little slightly out of the way. He's not too far off from straight up, but anyways, that's where the route is. So if you, and I guess I shouldn't even be telling you this stuff, just I'm going from South Mississippi to Michigan, straight line. If you live in there somewhere and you want me to stop by, let me know. If you live somewhere else and you want me to stop by, let me know, because I'm going to take more than one trip. Currently, it looks like I'll be leaving in July and probably will stay gone for at least 2 weeks, you know, in order to make it all the way up there. And I may not be able to make it up there. I'm not real good at long distance driving because of my back and my, you know, just everything. I fall asleep and stuff, so we'll just have to see how that works out. But there are certain things I wanted to leave right away and just, you know, just throw caution to the wind and just leave. But my wife, everybody knows my wife is mentally handicapped. She's mentally ill and she's mentally retarded. And so I can't just walk off without leaving, you know, somebody to kind of look out for her. But it looks like that's not going to happen, because the only person I've ever been able to depend on is my mom, and she's told me she's done with me. I'm not, that she doesn't never want to see me again, so that's not going to work. But I called around to try to organize something. First, I got the Gulf Coast mental health people involved, and they said that they were going to put her in adult daycare 3 days a week. And so I was really dependent on that. But when the person who ran the daycare interviewed my wife, they said no, that they couldn't. And it's because my wife isn't just mentally ill, she's mentally retarded. And they felt like because of her extra disability, they really didn't want to throw her in there with people who are mentally unstable anyway. You know, so they have to get people that they think are going to be able to integrate into their little community. So that went away. I didn't have anybody to do that. So I found out about another program through what's called a Mississippi Regional Center, which used to be called Mississippi Retardation Center. And they said they couldn't help me because my wife is not mentally handicapped. She's got a GED. And I don't know what a GED is, but I know my wife can't really do much of anything. So I guess they just give GEDs to anybody. I don't know. But I know currently I don't think my wife could pass any kind of a test. You know, I ask her just the most basic questions and she hasn't got a clue. Well, anyways, first thing I had to do, my microwave wasn't working, and I knew that she couldn't cook on a stove. So I went and bought a microwave, and I've had it for about 2 weeks now. And I have not had any success with teaching my wife how to use it. It's a little bit different. It's got a knob you turn, and then you press the knob in. So what I'm probably going to do is go buy a little teeny tiny microwave for $40 that has the same controls on it that our last microwave iPad on it. And I'm going to go ahead and show my wife how to use it and videotape her using it so that people can't say that I left her here with no way of cooking food. I went ahead and cleaned out both my refrigerators and freezers. I mean, I got every single thing out, and I cleaned the interiors out of them, and I went through and threw away all the food that I didn't think we needed anymore. Gave it to the chickens. And I'm restocking. I'm stocking up one of the refrigerators with a bunch of stuff you can just heat up in a microwave, like TV dinners and stuff. And I went out and bought a bunch of canned, like chicken and dumplings, things like that. And of course, she has a lot of stuff that she can eat. That's she can prepare. She knows how to make sandwiches, etc. But I want to clean the house up really, really good before I leave, just in case, because people who are watching this are going to say that I abandoned my wife or I'm neglecting my wife. But, I've been feeding this person and cleaning her and transporting her for 30 years. I've never been able to take a vacation, not even once. The only time I've ever been able to travel, I had to bring her with me, and if you've ever traveled with somebody who's mentally handicapped, it's not a vacation. So this time around, I'm just leaving her. I don't have anybody to leave her with. And so if somebody, the neighbors or family, decide they're going to come in here and rescue her from me, I want the house to be as clean as possible. I don't want them to come in here and say that, I left her in filth or something like that. So I want to get that done. But I also just changed insurance companies, and so I'm going to get my teeth worked on. I got my eyes done. I got this thing on my hand that I don't know if you can see that. It really needs to be cut off because it's just, I don't know what it is. It's weird. And, the VA's already taken photographs of it. The dermatologist is supposed to get back with me this week and tell me when they can schedule to get it removed. Oh, but I did, just so you know, I need to do a video series about how to deal with poverty because they never tell you any of this stuff. You pretty much have to just fall into it. But with medical stuff, like if you're really, really poor, but you've worked really, really hard all your life, they'll give you Medicare, but Medicare is $100 and something a month, and there's no way when you're living off of what Social Security a poor person gets, like there's no way you can afford the Medicare. So Medicaid has a program where they pay your Medicare, and as of late, they've come up with this thing now where private insurance companies, if you've got Medicare and Medicaid, which is very rare for somebody to have both, but I have both, you can get that. And I've had United Healthcare last year. This year I've got Humana Gold. And so what that is you get a free pair of glasses every year, free eye exam every year, free dental work up to like $3,000 every year. Every month you get a card for $50 worth of healthy food. You get $300 a quarter to spend on over-the-counter medications. So it's like, and that's everything. It's like toothpaste, toothbrushes, Band-Aids, aspirin, vitamins, whatever they pay for. It's like $100 a month goes towards paying for that. And so just to show you, it's like in my life, I've always been the guy with a $10 pair of glasses that has, duct tape holding the legs on and that kind of stuff. And now, because I'm at the end of my working life and I've got all these things going for me, I can get on this really good insurance program. Plus, I'm a veteran, so honestly, I already had a good program with the Veterans Administration where they would give me 2 pairs of glasses every 2 years. And the reason they give me 2 pairs is one for distance and then one for the computer. This is a computer pair. You'll see me wearing these when I'm doing live streams so I can see the comments. And let's see, the latest one is from Marie Miller. It says, hi folks, what do we got in? So 16 people right now currently are present, 17 people. But anyways, I want to show you something. In my life, I'm the guy that's always had tore up glasses. Those are Ray-Bans. I mean, real Ray-Bans. And I had looked into getting some before, and it's like $600 or $700 because I wanted the best lenses and I wanted the frames, and there's no way I could do that. But my insurance company pays I think $300 towards glasses, a pair of glasses, and then these were $420. So I put $120 out of pocket, something I never could have afforded before. If you're living in poverty and you have any questions about that, I've been doing this for almost 60 years, and so I can help you, and especially if you live in Mississippi, to kind of find out what programs are available for you. But anyways, here they are, and when I go out in the sun, the lenses turn dark, so that way I don't have to carry two pairs of glasses when I go indoors. They go back to being clear. Like I said, they're going to work on my teeth next week on the 6th. They're going to cut this thing off next week. In case you weren't here when I talked about that earlier, I've had this lump on my hand for about 6 months. Don't know what it is. I don't think it's anything bad, but it irritates me that it's there. I'm always looking at it. It doesn't heal, so I'm going to get it cut off. While we're talking about all the health stuff I'm doing, I was able to get back in the VA for my regular primary care physician, and of course they did my blood work. And I've been diabetic for 15 years, I know, at least, maybe longer than that. And so by now I should be on insulin. And my A1C, which is the thing they test when they determine what your diabetes is doing, was I think 11.9 a couple of years ago. And I started working on, that's way over. It's supposed to be 7 or under 7. Don't ask me what those numbers mean. But last time it was 7.1. So I felt like I was doing pretty good. I was staying active. I was watching my diet. But 6 months ago, I stopped drinking alcohol pretty much altogether. And I stopped eating meat. So for anybody who's a vegetarian and you want proof that vegetarianism is good, I can give you some evidence. I can't give you proof because I don't know if it's maybe cutting back on alcohol that changed things, or if it's actually the not eating meat anymore. But my A1C dropped from 7.1 to 6.5, I think, which is really, really good for anybody that's diabetic. And they were trying to put me on a statin, and I had been fighting them. I didn't want to start doing that because the statins have a bad reputation. So when I went in, I asked the doctor how my cholesterol was doing. She said, it's gone. You're completely normal. You have 100% normal cholesterol. You don't have to worry about taking the statin anymore. Blood pressure was a little high. This time it was normal, 100% normal blood pressure. They checked my oxygen levels perfect. So all of my labs came back really, really good. And all I did was stop drinking alcohol and stop eating meat. I guess I should tell you that, I haven't really quit using alcohol. I kind of have, but in the 7 months since I stopped drinking, I have been working on a single bottle, 1.5 liter bottle of rum and a single box of wine. And so that bottle of rum is gone, the box of wine is gone, and I haven't really got any intention of opening another bottle of anything. So basically, I've quit drinking unless I'm somewhere and somebody offers me a drink, because I really don't want to have an open bottle of anything around here. Okay, Steve Ladner says, stay away from doctors and you will live longer. I actually believe that. I kind of, in case you didn't know it, in my vain attempts to win my mother's love, I went down and got that COVID-19 shot, which obviously is nonsense. Nobody on earth is going to benefit from a COVID-19 shot, but I don't think anybody's going to be harmed by it either. And my mom's like, she watches the networks religiously, and I mean that. And I wanted her to feel confident. She kept asking me about my COVID shot, so I got my COVID shot. But even though I did that, she still told me to get off her property and never come back. All right, Shannon Hole says, hey, late, but better late than never. So now we have 23 people that are here present. What does everybody want to talk about? I think I already talked about the fact that my truck is not ready, and I wouldn't really trust it to go on any long distance trips right now, even if I had the money to get it out of the shop. I'll get it out of the shop on Monday because I get my check. But if you live anywhere, if you missed the first part of this, I'm my first trip, I'm pretty sure, is going to start right here in South Mississippi, and it's going to go straight north to Michigan and come straight back down. So if you live anywhere between Michigan and South Mississippi, past Christian, Mississippi, and you want me to stop by, just know that I can't just stop by and then go to a hotel room. I'm going to have to stay with you for a day or two, however long you're willing to tolerate me. Because I can only afford, like, travel. I can't afford hotels and stuff like that. All right, let's see here. Patrick Russell says hello from Northeast Saskatchewan. I think that's in Texas. North Saskatchewan, I think, isn't that in Texas? Just kidding. It's in Canada. And that's about it. What else could I talk about? I did find out that there's a thing called the Medicaid waiver program that my wife is eligible for, but because of the pandemic, there's a 2-year waiting list to get into it. If I could get her in that program, they would send somebody by to sit with her. They would give her rides to her medical. They would do all that kind of stuff. And in fact, they told me that in 1 year, my wife would be eligible for free rides anywhere. She could just call as a senior citizen and get them to take her to the mall or wherever they're going. But even right now, I can hopefully, before I leave, they said that I would be eligible for $300 worth of assistance, like with Caregiver. So I could leave, and if I'm gone for like a week, they could send somebody out to sit with her every day for a week. And at the end of 3 months, they'll reload me with another $300. So that's something I'm working on right now. The paperwork's supposedly coming in the mail. All right, let's see here. Let's see what else is going on. Mr. Ed, howdy. So Mr. Ed says howdy. Bubba Joe, do you think that Paul may have been working for Rome as a spy in order to spread misinformation? No. The stuff that's... first off, there's a lot of stuff that's been blamed on Paul that isn't true. He said a lot of things about how the law was being done away with forever, and the food laws and the ritual laws. But if you read the writings of Paul, he was quoting the Old Testament. Supposedly there's a lot of people out there that believe that Paul caused God's chosen people to stop doing God's chosen rules, but he was only quoting stuff that was already in the Old Testament. So that the Old Testament said that all that stuff would be done away with. And like I said, a lot of stuff is attributed to Paul that isn't even, there really isn't any way of knowing who said these things. If you go and look at, like, what was it? It's 1 Corinthians, 2 Corinthians, Thessalonians, Titus, 1 Timothy, 2 Timothy, Romans, to the Hebrews. A lot of those books don't say who wrote them. They just got attributed to Paul for no reason, other than the fact that Paul wrote a lot of stuff after the gospel was done, or he wrote a few things after the gospel was done, and he's mentioned in the book of Acts. And so it's just easy to put everything on him, even though there's no evidence to support that he did a lot of the stuff that they say he did. But yeah, I mean, I've looked at a lot of stuff, having been a Catholic for a while and having been a Protestant, having been a Jehovah's Witness. There's a lot of scriptures that support this continuation of the rules and rituals of Judaism. But when you go back and look at all of the Bible verses that the churches use to support that, none of those are as they were in the original Greek. So the stuff about, God's, the law of Moses would go on forever or whatever, that stuff isn't really in the Bible. It's not like that at all. Jesus came by and he said, I didn't come to do away with the law. And sure enough, when he left, the law was still in effect. But he did say that there would come a day when the law would be done away with. So when Jesus returns, there won't be a law. As far as the law on us, that law is done away with. We're not required to sacrifice a cow every so often or any of that kind of stuff. We really, we're only subject to that if we live in a country where that's the law. In other words, when Jesus died, his apostles, disciples were still living in Jerusalem. And so, as Jesus said, he didn't come to do away with the law. They had to stick to the law because those were not religious laws. What he was talking about, the aspect that Jesus was talking about, is that these are actual physical laws of the empire. So when it says you have to sacrifice a bull every so often, you had to be part of that or you could be punished. You know, it's the same thing with most of their rituals, like the Sabbath. You had to rest on the Sabbath. If you didn't rest on the Sabbath, that was a governmental law. You could go, you know, you wouldn't go to jail. They could kill you. You know, if you didn't celebrate the Passover, they could kill you. That was the law. So the when Jesus said he was not there to do away with the law, he was quite literally saying that, you know, the law is not his to do away with. It's the Roman empires or the government of Jerusalem that would have to do away with that law because it was their law. You know, it was not God's law. God's law was the Ten Commandments, which are, you know, don't hurt people, don't steal, don't pretend like you love somebody in order to take advantage of them. Don't worship other gods other than the Creator. And so those are God's law. The stuff that Moses brought down when the Israelites rejected God's law, when the Israelites rejected the Ten Commandments, Moses broke them and he went back up and he carved his own. The very first law, the Ten Commandments, was carved by the finger of God, but he refused to carve the second set of laws. Moses had to carve them himself. And in fact, the first law was put on stones that were given to Moses by God. The second time around, Moses had to go find his own stones. So anyway, I guess there's enough of that. If you live somewhere between Mississippi and Michigan and you want me to stop by, please do that soon. I think I'm probably going to leave in July once I get all my medical issues taken care of, once I get the house cleaned up, once I get Rachel involved in some kind of a program. I'll be leaving. So if I don't know anything before then, I'm not going to be able to stop and visit you because I really have to plan this out so that everybody knows when to expect me. All right, Eric Ellingwood says hello. Gone for a long time, but he's recently started popping in again. Hello, Eric. Yeah, Marie Miller says, we still do burn offerings. We just do them on a Weber gas grill in the backyard and call it barbecue. Basically, that's all that was anyway. If you go back and look at the stories about, you know, exactly how you had to kill the bull and how you had to separate the bull and which parts were to be burnt and which parts were to be cooked and who got to eat the parts that were cooked, it's just a barbecue. All right. Yeah, okay, Patrick Russell says, folks around here are starting to get really beat down by oppressive flu regulations. Very sad to see hopelessness. When I try to encourage my loved ones, I'm ridiculed for not being scared. And yeah, that's the same here. I don't really, these people are really losing all hope because they've lost their jobs and they've lost their houses and they've, you know, all of their relatives have died from this horrible pandemic. And you'll ask them details, and there really aren't any details because they're still working, they're still making the same amount of money, they're still living in their house, all of their relatives are dead. The few who have lost loved ones to the pandemic, they lost them to the pandemic after they fell off of a cliff or after they got cancer. So it's really, really bizarre that people are so emotionally hurt by this. You know, why are these people thinking that the whole world is collapsing over something that you can't even see? The only place you can see the pandemic is on TV or the internet. You know, you'll not see it with your neighbors. I get it amazes me when people will stop me and say, did you hear about the teacher from the neighboring county that died from the pandemic? And I was like, well, if I did, I probably didn't care because I don't watch TV because I know it's all just nonsense, you know. This TV is the same thing that tells us we have to send our children overseas to murder other people's children. You know why? Because they say they're threatening our freedom. Well, first off, I'm not free, and I don't see how murdering somebody on the other side of the planet would make me free or preserve my freedom. I don't get it. And so, people that believe that stuff, I can't explain it. It's inexplicable. But that's not all. Here's I've been talking. Of course, I'm not doing anything video wise. I'm not really studying any of the Greek, Hebrew, and Latin words that are in the Bible anymore. I'm just kind of trying to keep my head above water and survive. And that's what our job is. In the Bible, when it talks about choosing life or choosing death, it's not talking about choosing heaven or choosing hell. It's talking about choosing to stay out of all this nonsense so that you can survive to see Christ return. And anyways, one of the things I've been working on, or I was working on before I just gave up, is this NPC video, non-player characters, about people who seemingly are just spiritually dead. And they're, the more I talk to the people I love about this stuff, is like we're seeing patterns that these people are like not real people. We're starting my close circle of friends are starting to call these people fillers or breeders. Not that people, not that non-player characters are unimportant, spiritually dead people are just here to make babies, and the rest of us don't make babies. That's not a real distinguishing characteristic. But what is a distinguishing characteristic is these people believe in silly things, and if you show them the truth, they continue believing in silly things. They'll talk about how some horrific, like dropping the nuclear bomb was good for the economy. It's like, well, if dropping nuclear bombs is good for the economy, we should probably do away with the economy. That doesn't sound like a good thing. Or all the presidents, the Republicans are causing wars, and the Democrats are not, or the vice versa. You look at them, they're all the same. Every year, the same amount of people die in war. If the entire government is made up of Republicans, the world is covered in horrific wars. If the whole government is made up of Republicans or Republicans or Democrats, same thing. I don't get it. Why do people think that the different political parties are actually different? They're just two names for the same exact thing. People pick teams. It's based on nothing. So anyway, these people are like spiritually dead. You can't show them that. They don't care. When they see a president come up with a new program to give out money, they're like, this is just, we're going into debt. How can a country go into debt? There's no way a country can go into debt. Who do we owe? Who does America owe? And they'll give you some kind of drawn out, stupid explanation for why America isn't in debt. Like, America prints money. It's what it does. It doesn't affect anybody. Nobody goes into debt. Nobody gets rich. Nobody gets poor. They just print up money, and at the end of the year, they print up more money. And they've been doing that forever. So people that are spiritually dead, they believe in that stuff. They believe that it's their right and their duty to determine how tax dollars are spent, as if there is such thing as tax dollars. It's ridiculous. The U.S. collects $1 trillion a year in taxes, and they spend $10 trillion. So how does taxes have anything to do with the economy? It doesn't. Let me get over here and see if somebody let me a comment. I'm just going to stop talking and hang up if I don't see something going on over here. Okay, there is some stuff here. Okay, let's see. Mountain Truth One Deeds. If you take a left at Albuquerque, you're certainly welcome. That's another trip I may take soon, but I don't know if I'm going to go out west or not. But if you really are interested in me stopping by, it wouldn't hurt to just send me your address so that I can kind of plot it out on a map and see, what kind of options I have. Oh, now this is a good one. Bubba Joe, I've had a beard for 2 years and can't keep my skin underneath from flaking. Any advice? And you know what? Beards and hair and all, I've really been seriously thinking about cutting all my hair off and my beard. I mean, cutting it down to bald headed, just making my whole face and head shiny, just because I'm sick of having hair and having to deal with you know, people thinking that I'm dirty. But no, I don't have any advice. You know what? Your problem is probably not a beard. It's just old age. It's like all kinds of weird junk is happening in my body, and I can't get it fixed. You know, I'm trying to get my dermatologist on some of this stuff. We'll take it one piece at a time. Like I said, if you weren't here for the very beginning, I've got this one lump on the back of my hand that before I travel, I want to get that thing cut off. I can't tell where this is. Oh, there it is. Got a white, shiny forehead. There's the lump. In fact, I'll manipulate it so it's fatter. Oh well. Yeah, I've got all these weird things on my body that you think they're zits or something, and you squeeze them and nothing happens, and then they're like here's this thing here. It's been there forever, and I don't even touch it anymore, and it doesn't go away. So there's a lot of that kind of junk popping up. Yeah, this is the second. On the 6th, I turned 59. 59. So I'm a year and 4 days away from 60. And so far, nothing's going on. You know, here's the thing. I honestly, you know, I keep thinking, okay, I'm a prophet of God because I know all this stuff that nobody else knows. But it's such a struggle. You know, I can't imagine Jesus, like, sitting in his house 60 hours a week just writing constantly to come up with a half-hour speech. It seems like when he gave those talks, he was like talking off the top of his head. But it's the same thing with all of them. You know, you read about the things that Samuel said, and Elijah, and Jeremiah, and, you know, John the Baptist, the apostles. They all just kind of knew what to say and when to say it. And I think that's going to happen. For me, especially, but probably for a lot of us. You know, once the sun and the earth and the moon go back into conjunction, that miraculous things will start happening. We'll be able to heal people just like the apostles could. We'll know what to say. We'll know the future. You know, we'll know all the stuff that Jesus knew. And we'll even know more because we're closer to the time than he was. Okay, let's see here. Rick Ballard, howdy everyone. Wait, I almost missed one. Sue Miller, lost my aunt who was 95 from COVID. What? 95 sweet and sour flu. Come on. She died from old age. Yeah. It's the same thing with, you know, Ala Toledo's mom died in a nursing home. And they told her years ago that, or they told the family years ago that her time was running out. And so when she died, they knew she was going to die. They were all, you know, ready for it. But then when they got the death certificate, it said COVID. One of my neighbors fell over dead, had a heart attack in his yard, and his death certificate was COVID. Neighbor down the street was close to 90, and I've been expecting him to die for 5 years. And when he died, they said he died from COVID. So it's like no matter what, if you die and they can attribute it to COVID in any way, if they can say, yeah, it looked like the flu does, or they had a fever or whatever, they just call it COVID. They get paid to, you know, nursing homes and hospitals, every time somebody dies from COVID, they get a big check. And so they just automatically say everybody died from COVID so they can get a big check. But it's not like people don't die from the flu. People have always died from the flu, and COVID is just the flu. All right. Mountain Truth One Deeds. On the beard, try tea tree oil. JJ Space says, hello all. Rick Ballard, just buzzed my head to a very short cut and trimmed eight years of beard down and off. You know, I didn't realize every time I did this that y'all couldn't see me. So, yeah, okay, Rick. Maybe you can encourage me to buzz mine off. Okay, K. Ken says, I've been wondering this. What did Jesus mean when he said that the only way to the Father is through him? Is this line translated correctly? Yeah, I don't think, it's not anything about religion, you know. I mean, the churches of Christianity want to tell you that Hindus and Muslims and Buddhists can't get to the Father. But it wasn't so much that you had to like perform some kind of Jesus ritual or declare Jesus to be your Savior or any of that stuff. It's just basically Jesus came to earth. He taught people the truth. Basically, the people he taught were living the truth. It's just like with me. I tell people the stuff that's in the Bible. I don't ever convince anybody of what's in the Bible. These people that are listening to me and saying, wow, that's great, they already know this stuff is in the Bible. So basically, all I'm doing is gathering together people that are already living like Jesus wanted us to live. You know, Jesus didn't live a perfect life. He had to work. He had to fish. You know, he was a fisherman according to the Bible. They say he was a carpenter in English, but that's not what the Bible says. He's worthless. The word worthless is tectone, and they translate tectone as carpenter. So when the Bible says in Greek that Jesus was worthless, they translate it as Jesus was a carpenter. It's just a fact. You know, if you want to fight me on it, feel free. I can block you and delete your comments. Yeah, so anybody who tries to love their neighbors and sees themselves as a small part of the greater whole, people who are spiritually full, people who are spiritually alive, people that recognize their place on the earth, they're doing what Jesus said to do. So it's through Jesus we get to the Father. But another thing is, if you watch the series I did, the Melchizedek series, Jesus is the man who was created. He was Adam. He was put on earth to keep an eye on everyone else. And so when Jesus was born, he was basically Adam born again. I did the video series called Melchizedek, and that's one of the final parts of the Melchizedek series, explains that Jesus was Adam. So, you know, if you think about it, Jesus was the very first person here on the earth that was set here to watch out over all other persons, and that it's from him that we all come, and that's the only way we can get to the Father, because he's our Father, and of course God is Jesus's Father. God made Adam. Adam was part of making all of us, and so the only way through to God is through Jesus. Paul Joe, hi Henry, I've had good luck putting CBD oil on topically. That's some expensive stuff. You know, I use CBD oil, been using it for a few years now, and I think it works. I wouldn't use it if it was just a placebo, but it's expensive. You know, the only reason I can get it is because I think if you're on EBT, you know, food stamps, or if you're a veteran, I think, I'm not really sure, if you can supply the paperwork saying that you can do that, a place called Lazarus Naturals will sell you CBD oil really, really inexpensively, and it seemingly works, so it's a good product, I think. Marie Miller. Sue, we lost 3 friends so far. One was in his 60s. He had issues. And a 35-year-old and a 54-year-old who can say why his some folks in hard and others not so bad. Well, now they're saying everybody in India is dying from it, and they're having to burn, you know, millions of bodies that are just falling over on the streets. But like I say, the flu has always killed people, and some people are hit harder than others. Usually you got to have some kind of a medical problem. But I almost died from the flu maybe 5 or 6 years ago, I guess. I don't know. And it was pretty terrible. You know, the people at the VA were really concerned about me. And I'm sure it was one of the COVID flus. But, you know, look, they're making a bigger deal out of this than they should. They've never made a big deal out of people dying before. And so far, the same amount of people are dying this year that died in the previous years. So who knows? Who knows what their agenda is? I've done, you know, talked about it, and it's just, you know, there's no reason to talk about it anymore. Okay, Vincent S. How does retirement work in America? Do you get a pension at 60 or 65? Well, if you are on Social Security, in other words, if you pay into Social Security for 9 years and it's current, then you qualify for Social Security benefits. But if you don't, then you can't qualify for Social Security benefits. But they have other programs, like they have the SSI program, which is also Social Security, which is based on giving people money who have never worked or have not worked enough, or their work is not current. Like if you work for 10 years, you're eligible for Social Security. But then if you don't work for the 10 years after that, you lose it. And I'm not really sure of exactly how long you got to go, but it has to be current. You have to, it's a good idea to apply for Social Security while you're paying for Social Security. Because once you're done and you walk away, the clock is ticking on how much time you have to actually apply. So it has to be current. It has to be so many quarters. The quarters add up to 9 years. And you can't just come into the United States and get a retirement. And you have to qualify for it, that you paid into it. It's a program you supposedly pay into. But I can only tell you how I got in, which was like through that. If you're just going to come into the country and get some kind of a retirement, I really don't know. I'm sure there are government programs for that, hopefully. I'd hate to think, people migrating into this country at 65 have to start, a career. All right, Jaboom Blue says, hi, my friend. Steve Ladner says, COVID is a hoax, H-O-A-X, capital letters. And so there's people that are going to want to argue about that. But, I mean, when you think about, is COVID an actual illness? Yes. Does it kill people? Yes. Is it different from all of the other flus that are an actual illness and actually kill people? No. I mean, I haven't seen it. I know people who've died from the flu before. Seemingly, it's the same as the flu they have now. So I'm not gonna say it doesn't exist, but is it any different than any other flu? I don't think so. I don't see any reason why it would be. You would be noticing something. All right, Bubba Joe at Mountain Truth Deed. Yes, thank you. Okay. K. Ken, why did Jesus have to talk so cryptically? I don't understand what it means to go through him. Well, okay, let me just say this, and it's probably not even related, but it says that when the resurrection comes, the first will be last and the last will be first. And so with Jehovah's Witnesses, that teaching means that those who die at the end, or those who are alive at the end, will be the first to experience that resurrection, because when it says that people will be changed in the twinkling of an eye, and they'll enter into the cloud with Jesus and the resurrected dead. So they used to teach that, those people are the first ones to experience a resurrection, and then there's some that come later, and some that come... I don't really believe any of that is going on. I think that when it says you have to go through Jesus, it's just basically that, Jesus was, he was Adam. He had Cain, Abel, and Seth. Cain, Abel, and Seth had other kids. They had other kids. And it says that all the while, these sons of God were reproducing offspring with the daughters of men. So there's something going on there that all human beings, whether they're from the line of Adam or from the line of one of these other sons of God, we're all interbreeding with one another. And so we can't be born, we can't come from God without coming from Adam. Somehow, if we're here and alive today, we came through Adam. Adam is Jesus. So we can't, Jesus was created by Adam, or by God. Adam was created by God. Jesus was created by God. But we came here through a process called reproduction. We weren't created by God. We came through Jesus. So, the only way for us to come through to God is through Jesus. I think that's all it's talking about, really. Bubba Joe, believers are currently being torn apart over the Trinity of the Son, Father, and the Holy Ghost. I pray we can one day find reconciliation. Yeah, I think people try to... here's the thing. When Satan took over as the God of civilization, in other words, everybody recognized God the Father as our creator, our king, and then suddenly Satan stepped in. Well, he was able to convince Eve to join him in a rebellion against God, and then she got pregnant with Cain. And so if you go back and look at all of the imagery of the all-seeing eye, it always includes a serpent, a woman, and a child. And so that's the Trinity. The Father, Son, and Holy Spirit is Satan, Eve, and Cain. Very first civilization came through Cain. The Bible says Cain left to go start a civilization, a city. And so that's what the Trinity is. And there really isn't anything about a Trinity in the Bible. Is the Holy Spirit Jesus or God or? Well, I mean, you know, they're all related, but I don't think it's not like the churches teach. You know, that's, I don't know why people want to fight over religious stuff. It's kind of like with me. I've always thought, well, Christianity is the true religion because it's following all the books of the Bible. There's the Jews, they only do the Old Testament. But if you look, all the religions of the world are basically the same. You know, they all teach that you love one another and there's some kind of an afterlife. You know, none of them say you just be a really good person and you go off into oblivion. So all of these ideas were put into man's head at some point, and they ended up in ancient books. So I won't argue with somebody about whether there's what do they call it when you reincarnate it, or whether there's ghosts, or whether there are people that are in Sheol or Hades awaiting the resurrection, and the people resurrect from the dead. Some people go to heaven, some people go to hell. I suspect that every bit of that is true in some way. And it's not really for us to figure out. We'll know when we experience it. You know, the people who come back can tell us what their experiences were, you know, at death, if they were completely unconscious, or if they were aware of their surroundings, or if they were inhabiting the bodies of others, or if they were like going through haunted houses, slamming doors and stuff. You know, people see all this stuff. They believe in it, so there must be something to it. K. Ken says the Trinity makes no sense. Well, yeah, I kind of agree. It's just a way of trying to apply some kind of a scientific teaching to, or historic teaching to the Bible that isn't there. It's not in the Bible, but it exists in most books. I mean, like I say, the Bible talks about Satan and Eve and Cain, and most religions teach about God reproducing with a woman and creating a child. You know, and the God they're talking about is Satan. How that would involve the Creator God, I don't think there's anything, because the Bible really doesn't say anything about a Trinity at all. All right. Mr. Ed says the deficiency of vitamin D. I think talking about why you might get flakes under your beard. Terry Burns, scared people are easier to control. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. You get people really scared and you get them to form up into teams. So you've got the mask team and the no mask team, and so you add those teams to the black team and the white team, the American team versus the Mexican team, the Christian team versus the Muslim team. Satan wants us to all have a reason to hate one another and be afraid. You gotta have some enemies in order to have common enemies. All right, Mr. Ed. COVID is the family of virus that causes common colds. They chose it because almost everyone is going to test for an immune response for that family of viruses. Thus, they can conflate COVID deaths. Yeah, I think that's all it is. I mean, people want to fight over the details, which I think is silly, because it's very obvious that something's going on here that has nothing to do with illness and everything to do with control. Deborah Elliott says, check out Robert Morningsky for an overview. All right, Mr. Ed. Oh, wait now. Vitamin D is the cause of COVID? Mr. Ed, with other causes, and make it seem more dangerous so that they can test run the global lockouts. Vitamin D deficiency is why anyone dies. That's why they need to keep everyone inside. I do not ever agree with any kind of medical advice, because people will fight over medical advice. I can tell you this. I have witnessed other people who smoke having poorer health than people who don't smoke, okay? So that's pretty obvious. I'm not going to say that that's a scam. People who smoke have more medical problems than people who don't. I personally have had really, really bad numbers from all of my blood work for the last 15 years. And currently all my numbers are normal. And the only two things I skipped was that I left out, that I got out of, was alcohol and meat. So I'm not going to tell you the alcohol is what made my health better. And I'm not going to tell you going without meat. So I'm not going to tell you going without alcohol improved my health. I'm not going to tell you going without meat improved my health. But those are the two things I did. And so probably one of those things has improved my health. Maybe the combination of the two is what improved my health. And if you give up meat, you won't have the same results. And if you give up alcohol, you won't have the same results. You have to give them both up. I don't know. So I'm not going to get on here and tell you about all these lab results for what cures COVID and what makes people live forever. Okay, Marie Miller says the Trinity is an Egyptian concept. Yep, if you think about it, the first civilization, people argue, is the Sumerians. No, I think it was the Egyptians. Pretty sure it was the Egyptians. They had a trinity. When the Egyptian empire collapsed, Assyria took over as the leading ruling world power. They had a trinity, right? And when the Assyrians were eventually defeated, then the Phoenicians came along, and they had a trinity. The Greeks took over after that, the Romans after that, the British after that, and now basically the Anglo-American world empire, the U.S. is Trinitarian. It's still Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. The governmental system, the economic system, and the religious system, because those three faces of God, or three parts of God, always are divided up as a controller of the government, a controller of the economy, and a controller of our spiritual needs. So that's what the Trinity is all about. And each of those empires that's mentioned specifically in the Bible in a very, chronologically, each of those was a Trinitarian thing, whereas I guess if you look at the Jews and the Christians, they never mentioned the Trinity, whereas it was a big deal for the Greeks, the Romans, Phoenicians, Assyrians. And even, like, you go back, even the Babylonians, who were kind of like, they were a big empire back then, but they were kind of separate from that cycle of empires. So yeah, it's an Egyptian concept, but it's like it's why you have Egyptian iconography in all of our government buildings and on our money, and because this is Egypt. The American empire is just a descendant of the Egyptian empire. Okay. Jaboom Blue says, mankind is in fear of COVID and what man's doing, but we should be concerned about what Heavenly Father is going to do. Read the book of Revelation every day. There was a time when I was doing that, just reading Revelation, not reading the rest of it. Now I'm not reading any of it because I'm burned out. But don't have no fear. I have read the Bible 8 times, and if you go back and look at all the things I've read an equivalent of 100 times, just basically the same scriptures over and over probably. But at this point, I've got to start repairing my home or something. I have to travel. I'm sick of just being here. All right, DG says, sometimes I wonder why this current system has been allowed to continue so far past Jesus' execution. Well, in the very beginning, it talks about how there would be, you had to go 6 days, and on the 7th day you would rest. Well, that word ends up being yom. That's the Hebrew word for day, but yom also could mean any cycle of time. So you get to the New Testament, and it says that to God, 1,000 years is like a day, right? And so that's specific. That's not just you saying that a long time and a short time is the same thing. It's not what it's saying. It's very clearly saying with God, 1,000 years is equal to a day. So you've got all these Bible prophecies and Bible writings about the week, the 7-day week, and how you got 6 days to work, and on the 7th day you rest. And so if you look at those yams as 1,000-year cycles, we're at like 5,990 4 years since Adam and Eve were cast out of the Garden of Eden, mean that our cycle, this 6,000-year cycle, is about to end. There's 6 cycles of 1,000 years, and then we have what's called the 1,000-year reign of Jesus, where everyone is forced to rest. So that's the rest we're looking forward to. So even though Jesus has been gone for a long time, we haven't entered into paradise because that cycle of time has to run its course. You know, this is all based on the way that the stars and planets move, and it's probably some kind of a natural scientific phenomenon that the Bible's describing, when the moon goes back where it belongs and the planets go back where they belong, and so it's not like God is going to randomly pick a day to fix things. I think it's part of this cycle of time. All right, Hero Merca, are you saying we are related to the devil? Yeah, we are spiritually, but not physically. You know, I used to say for a long time that, you know, when I was in religion, that the Nephilim were like hybrids, half human and half gods, and the gods that were involved were like Satan and his angels. But it seems to me, if you go back and look at the Melchizedek series, I did a video, one of the videos in that series was about the Nephilim, the giants. And it seems like when God is talking about how human beings are like sheep and goats, there's 2 different species, it's not talking about their biological species, it's talking about their spiritual species. So we're made up of, there's 2 aspects to us. There's our spirit and there's our flesh. And it seems to me that Cain got his spirituality from Satan. You know, the Bible continuously calls Satan the father of the wicked, but I don't think it's biological father. You know, the Bible clearly says that Satan was a serpent. We can't reproduce with serpents. And so, you know, I mean, that's just another one of those things that I can't explain. But it seems to me that if you read everything in the Bible about Satan being the father of Cain, or Satan being the father of the Pharisees, it seems to me that's talking about him as their father, because he's wicked and he convinced them to be wicked, not like he put his biological material into a human woman so that she would give birth to someone wicked. Because you think about it, we're all related. There's nobody on this earth that's not related to everybody else on the earth. Oh, I'm getting sleepy. What time is it? Ooh, 12 o'clock, exactly for my time, 12 o'clock, time to quit this. But I'm going to go ahead and just keep doing this, you know. If I get to where I'm too tired to keep going, I'll stop. I'm going to go in there and take a nap in a little while. Deborah Elliott, if you're easily offended, you're easily controlled. Okay, yep, there you go. Yeah, that's another aspect of spiritually empty people. Spiritually empty people get offended over nothing. They're constantly at war with everybody else over their social status and all that nonsense. That people who are spiritually full don't concern themselves with their social status. We just want to be left alone. And spiritually empty people cannot stop interfering with other people. I listen to, like, when I'm with my family, they're always talking about which president is ruining our great nation and why we have to protect the borders and what systems should be in place to make sure that taxpayers are not taking advantage. They're always worried about controlling other people. You know, as far as I'm concerned, when I see somebody that has struggled all their life to just have the necessities of life and they get on the system, I'm happy for them. You know, I don't sit there and try to critique how they could have done better without a government assistance, because I don't care. And no one should care. No spiritual person should care about, controlling the earth's resources. Okay. Marie Miller says, wow, Deb, that is golden. Yeah, referring back to what you said. If you're easily offended, you're easily controlled. And yes, that is golden. Okay, Ken says, sorry if I ask questions you've probably been over 100 times. I forget what is written, and I don't want to argue either. Yeah, well, I don't think that there's really... I mean, we could talk about something different every single time and answer different questions every single time, but there's only like a dozen really big questions that mankind has to understand. And, you know, so we got to do it over and over again. You think about it. Right now, I got like 18,000 subscribers. There's going to be a day when I have billions of subscribers, I guess. I can't just ignore them. They got to learn all the same stuff that we learned. Right? Bubba Joe at Sustenance and Covering. How do you get that in there? Oh, that's just me. Okay, yeah. When you type in at Sustenance and Covering, it highlights it. Okay. You are much appreciated, and in my view, you are not an NPC. Thank you for being here. You are welcome. Remember, this whole thing, this whole live stream today is about me traveling, and I don't have my truck, which means I don't have my camper, so I can't just drive until I get tired and pull over and sleep in the camper. I'm gonna have to sleep in something because my little car. I can't sleep in my little car, and I can't afford hotel rooms. So if you would like me to come visit, just know that will involve giving me a place to sleep for a night or two and providing me with some food. You know, I'll be bringing like nuts and stuff in the car with me, granola bars or whatever. But I ain't been going out to eat every day because I can't. You know, I guess I could go to grocery stores and just like pick up regular groceries like some cereal and milk or something. I don't know. But I can't travel like normal people. You know, one day I'll have a camper and I can have everything I need in there and just travel like that's my house. Marie Miller agrees that I'm a wonderful non-NPC person. Mountain Truth One Deeds. MSM offends me. MSM offends me. MSM. I don't know what that is. Is that the stuff Chinese people use for a seasoning? That's MSG. Isn't that MSG? MSM. Well, offends me. That's why I quit watching it about 20. Oh, MSM must be a network. All right, or a TV show. Eric Ellingwood. I am in Maine, and when I get my welding set up on the back of a truck, I'm planning on boondocking in Walmart parking lots. Yep, that's what I want to do too. But I got to have something. I can't just sleep in my car. I'm going to be boondocking at Walmarts in a camper. All right. Mr. Anton Lucas says Dee, whatever that means. Mountain Truth Deeds. Mainstream media, yeah. Oh, MSM is mainstream media. Okay, I understand now. Mr. Anton Lucas. My didaskalos. Okay, I agree. Wholeheartedly, my didaskalos. Eric Ellingwood. Separately, about two different words in the Bible, Messiah and Elohim. I've heard that Elohim was used plurally, not the word that was used for the Christian God. Was Elohim meaning plural? That has me. Okay, here we go. This is a big one, and I think I've talked about it before. Like when I did the Melchizedek thing, I got to the very last video, and I didn't have a script and didn't feel like writing another script, so I just went over this pretty quickly. But in the beginning, it says, in the beginning, the gods, Elohim, created the heavens and the earth, right? And so you got to think, well, who are these gods? Well, when God created the heavens and earth, that's the creator. Inside of God was every human that would ever live, correct? Because you think about it, when Abraham made sacrifices or tithes to Melchizedek, the Bible says that the Levites made tithes to Melchizedek. So how is that possible? The Levites didn't come along for 500 years probably. Well, they were able to make tithes, and the Bible explains this. The Levites paid tithes to Melchizedek, who was not a Jew, because they were in Abraham's loin when Abraham paid tithes to Melchizedek. So it's the same thing with God. It says, in the beginning, the gods created the heavens and the earth. Well, the gods would be all of the humans that were to ever be born. And so these gods would be like presidents, kings, emperors, prime ministers, popes, industrialists, all of those false gods that civilization worships, these human beings that control other human beings. Those are the gods who created the heavens and the earth simply because those individuals who had not been born yet were still in God's loins when he created the heavens and the earth. So yes, back in the past, Elohim didn't just mean the the creator. You know, it's often translated as God. It's not God. It's the gods, plural. But it includes all of the people who were ruling over the earth at that time. But it also includes all of the people who ruled over the earth and then died. Because as the Bible says, that people who die are not dead. You know, he is the God of Abraham and Isaac and Jacob. He's not the God of the dead. He's the God of the living, because they're all alive in some form or fashion somewhere, just as all of those old Baal or gods or politicians were still alive somewhere when they died. So that's what Elohim means. Elohim is is the creator God, along with all of the false gods that he created. Okay, and Messiah simply is like, I think it's Meshach, something like that. It's like the Savior, one who brings salvation, the one who's chosen. Like it's Christ. In Greek, it's Christos. It's Messiah in Hebrew. And it just means one who's anointed or who has oil poured over them, one who is chosen to rule. And so that's what Messiah means, one who's chosen to rule. The false gods, all the Elohim, are the ones who are not chosen to rule in many cases. Matt C says, howdy. Messiah sounds similar to the ancient Egyptian word for crocodile or serpent or something. It might just be in phonetics fallacy that if a word sounds similar. No, it isn't. You know, that's one of the things I do with languages is you can't just look at how they're spelled. You have to try to like do some detective work to see how the word originally sounded. So you have these words that end up in our modern languages from these ancient languages, but you don't even associate them because they're spelled funny. But they originally meant the same thing. So yeah, it might be something to do with that. You know, the crocodile or the serpent god. Maybe that's, you know, same as Messiah, similar to Messiah. I don't know. All right. Yeah, Messiah is basically a political leader. Yahweh is part of the name of God. Yeah, Yahweh actually means to be. And so if you think about it, okay, Eoy is the same thing as, it's always Eoy Elohim. Elohim means the gods to be. But Eoy is one word that gets translated as Yahweh or Jehovah. And it's always, you know, when you get to I think the book of Psalms is the first place that says Jah instead of Jehovah. And so Eoy is just, it's made up of to be. Well, Yah means am. That's, uh-oh. Okay, if you can hear me, my battery's going dead on my iPad, so I probably need to wrap this up because I'm thinking I just paused. Is that correct? Who knows? Well, I won't go look at it later. You can tell me. That's the thing. If you want to contact me, let me know, and I'll give you my email address, and you can send me your address directly to my email, so everybody doesn't see where you live. And as the time gets closer, I'll start organizing things and letting people know where I'm going to be and when I'm going to be there. And I'm sorry if I'm leaving people out, but I am running out of battery life on my iPad, so we'll just go ahead and close things now. Al Toledo will be back next week. If I'm back next week, hopefully I can do something. Love y'all, and thank you for being here. And as always, if you don't want to survive, don't listen to me.